Hello, I'm Siska Becker. Welcome to Your World. Now let's begin with the first segment of this edition of Your World. In our first segment, we'll talk about the devastating earthquake in Myanmar. The death toll of Friday's powerful 7.9 magnitude earthquake in central Myanmar rose to more than 2,700, according to the latest release by the country's State Administration Council Information Team. And UN Migration Agency calls for support for quake-hit Myanmar. Let's have a closer look.
The quake strongest recorded in the country in a century rocked Sagaing region of Myanmar, with an epicenter close to Mandalay, country's second largest city. In Sagaing City, the earthquake caused widespread damage in the urban area, bringing down buildings and leaving rubble everywhere on both sides of roads. Some houses fell apart with only a roof remaining. Meanwhile, in Mandalay, some high-rise buildings have completely collapsed, complicating rescue efforts in the Southeast Asian nation. Meanwhile, in Thailand, last Friday's earthquake in Myanmar, which sent strong tremors across Thailand, has caused economic damage estimated at about 20 billion baht and may cause Thailand's GDP forecast for this year to drop by 0.06% to under 2.4%, according to the Kasikorn Research Center. The earthquake's economic damage assessment is based on the suspension or delay of economic activities, particularly in the service sector in and around Bangkok and Chiang Mai. UN Migration Agency called for international community to help Myanmar handle the aftermath of last week's devastating earthquake. Michizuki Daihe, chief of mission of the International Organization for Migration, or IOM, in Myanmar, spoke in an online interview with NHK on Monday. Mochizuki said the nation's second largest city of Mandalay is facing the danger of deterioration in both social order and hygiene conditions. Mochizuki said, given that more than 3 million people were internally displaced in Myanmar prior to the quake, the situation could destabilize further. The exclusive drone footage shot by Phoenix Television on Monday showed the extent of damage around the Sky Villa buildings in Mandalay City, which have now been reduced to piles of rubble as the floors caved in. Multiple rescue teams, including the Blue Sky Rescue Team, a Chinese civil relief squad, have been racing against time to locate possible survivors buried in the apartment buildings, hoping to rescue as many as possible as the crucial 72-hour window approached on Monday afternoon. As aftershocks continue to pound central Myanmar following the earthquake on 28th of March, UNHCR has rushed emergency supplies from Yangon to some 25,000 earthquake survivors in the Mandalay and Nai Pitao areas. UNHCR are mobilizing more relief items from their existing stocks in Myanmar and hope these plastic sheets, sleeping mats, blankets, kitchen sets and mosquito nets can provide some relief in these turbulent times. UNHCR's team is currently identifying critical needs in the worst affected areas of Mandalay, Magwai and Sagaing regions as part of interagency rapid needs assessment. In the central part of the city of Mandalay, in the emergency zone, the Air Mobile Hospital of the Russian Emergency Ministry has started working at full capacity. More than 20 doctors provide qualified medical care. The therapeutic, surgical, and intensive care units are accepting the first patients. The hospital will operate around the clock. The department's psychologists are providing emergency care to the victims. From Indonesia, National Disaster Mitigation Agency deployed 53 officers to Myanmar to give the ASEAN neighbor post-earthquake aid and relief and ensured no Indonesian citizens have become victim in the 7.7 magnitude quake on March the 28th. Head of National Disaster Mitigation Agency or BNPB, Suharyanto, said on Tuesday his agency deployed 53 officers to Myanmar to help the country in the evacuation and medication of the quake victims. Suharyanto explained the 53-member search and rescue team took off from Halim Perdana Kusuma Air Base on a Boeing 747 airplane on Tuesday. On Tuesday, Indian Air Force's C-130J Hercules reached Mandalay with 16 tons of relief aid. The essentials delivered include water purifiers and drinking water, medicines and medical supplies, ready-to-eat food materials, and tents and generators. Also, Indian Navy ship INS Yarial has departed from Vishakhapatnam with 442 metric tons of essential food items. Meanwhile, the Indian Army Field Hospital unit's been operationalized in Mandalay to provide medical assistance to the survivors.
And now for the second segment, we travel to Japan as the country braces the impacts of tariffs targeting the auto industry from its close ally, the United States. As from Beijing, senior Chinese official He Lifeng met with Ray Dalio, founder of U.S. investment management firm Bridgewater Associates, on Monday. And the two sides exchanged views on the macroeconomic situation and China-U.S. economic and trade relations.
Prime Minister Ishiba Shigeru says his government is working hard to convince U.S. President Donald Trump's administration to make an exception for his country. Ishiba has indicated he has plans if an exclusion is not made. These announced measures to support small and medium-sized Japanese firms. About 1,000 consultation offices will be set up nationwide to hear their concerns. Government officials will also visit factories and companies to assess their situations. Ishiba says he will not hesitate to visit the U.S. to negotiate for Japan in person if necessary. Meanwhile, Anthony Albanese has once again put health front and center of Labour's re-election campaign, promising to co-fund the $300 million Flinders Health Precinct in Adelaide South. The coalition says it will match the pledge. The prospect of more Trump administration tariffs has also emerged. A new trade report out of the U.S. lays out a list of grievances the White House has with Australia. Political reporter Tom Lowry is on the road with Anthony Albanese.
My mum would say cutting off your nose is spice
From Hong Kong, the U.S. State Department announced sanctions against 6 mainland and Hong Kong officials in Washington's latest move targeting the city's national security-related officials. They include Secretary for Justice Paul Lam and outgoing Police Commissioner Raymond Su. Both the Central and Hong Kong SAR governments condemned the U.S. sanctions as unreasonable. From Beijing, senior Chinese official He Lifeng met with Ray Dalio, founder of U.S. investment management firm Bridgewater Associates, in Beijing on Monday, and the two sides exchanged views on the macroeconomic situation and China-U.S. economic and trade relations. He, a member of the Political Bureau of the Communist Party of China Central Committee and director of the Office of the Central Commission for Financial and Economic Affairs, said Chinese economy enjoyed a steady start and maintained good development momentum since the beginning of the year, with a unified national market taking shape and the release of consumption potential accelerating. On Tuesday, at the Presidential Palace, State President Luong Chong and his spouse hosted the state-level welcoming ceremony for King Philip and the Queen of Belgium. Welcoming the Belgian king on his first state visit to Vietnam since the establishment of diplomatic relations between the two countries, the state president affirmed Vietnam's commitment to strengthening its multifaceted cooperation with Belgium, a key member state with significant influence in the EU. King Philip, who had previously visited Vietnam 3 times as Crown Prince, expressed his joy at returning. Meanwhile, from Mekong Delta, southwest Vietnam, depleting resources, declining orders, and rising costs, these market challenges require the billion-dollar seafood industry to rethink its approach for a more proactive, effective, and sustainable future. In the Mekong Delta, many businesses are already developing long-term strategies to maintain their growth momentum. According to industry experts, establishing a national seafood data center should be a priority. From Australia's Illawarra, energy policy is said to be a big focus of this election campaign, and with the leader Dutton vowing to scrap 3 of Labour's offshore wind projects, the coalition is hoping it can tap into anti-wind farm sentiment to pick up key coastal seats. The debate around these projects has become hostile at times on the New South Wales South Coast. The main anti-wind farm group being accused of spreading misinformation and making personal attacks on experts and advocates. Meanwhile, Japan on Tuesday created a new infectious diseases research institute by integrating 2 organizations in an effort to prepare for future outbreaks. The newly established Japan Institute for Health Security, or JIHS, has specialized units to collect information about occurrences of communicable diseases in and outside of Japan. The JIHS also advises the government on how best to deal with any outbreak based on the science. And from Indonesia, Minister of Culture Fadly Zon stated the government's plan to register tempeh as UNESCO's unobjected cultural heritage. This step continues Indonesia's success in bringing herbal medicine into the UNESCO list in 2023. He emphasized traditional culinary is part of the cultural and legacy expressions passed down from generation to generation. Food culture not only reflects traditional values but is also closely related to the agricultural sector and people's lives.
We are now on our third and last segment. Festive atmosphere for Eid al-Fitr is absent in Gaza, where thousands of displaced Palestinians are suffering from hunger, poverty, and other hardship amid the war and Israel's block of aid supplies. Meanwhile, mosques in Asgabat and across the country held the Eid al-Fitr prayer, which marks the end of the holy month of Ramadan.
In Gaza, the usual joy of Eid has been replaced by sorrow and hardship in displacement camps.
According to the Islamic calendar, Muslims worldwide celebrate the first day of Eid al-Fitr on Sunday or Monday. But in Gaza City, the usual joy of Eid al-Fitr been replaced by sorrow and hardship, and in displacement camps, families are living in tattered tents surrounded by waste. Eid al-Fitr is supposed to be a day of joy, marking the end of month of spiritual striving, of fasting, prayer and giving. This year, joy was elusive. On the morning of Eid, as we prepare together in prayer, children are being killed. Multiple children had been bombed to death by Israeli airstrikes as the sun rose, ending Eid excitement and their lives. Meanwhile, early in the morning, after sunrise, Mosque of Asgabat filled with believers who came from the Eid prayer. This important ritual is performed only twice a year on Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha. Before the prayer, Muslims performed a full ablutions, put on clean clothes, and took their places in the rows with the first sounds of takbirs. After the end of the Eid prayer, the Imam delivered a sermon in which he reminded about the importance of good deeds, compassion, and helping those in need. From Bangladesh, Holy Eid al-Fitr, one of the greatest religious festivals of the Muslims, is being celebrated in Bangladesh today with due religious fervor and solemnity. The joy of the auspicious occasions began with sighting of the Shawwal moon of 1446 Hijri last evening. Muslims offered prayers in mosque, hidaks and makeshift prayers venues in Dhaka and elsewhere across the country. During the Eid prayers, Muslims prayed for divine blessings to have strengthened national unity against all odds and destructive activities. From Brunei, Takbir, Tahmid, and Tashbih resounded nationwide as a sign of gratitude to Allah for His grace in giving Muslims in Brunei Darussalam the opportunity to celebrate Hari Raya Idul Fitri. The Hari Raya celebration began with Sunat Idul Fitri prayers at all mosques, surau, and religious halls throughout Brunei Darussalam. His Majesty Sultan Haji Hassanal Bolkiah Muizzuddin Wadaulah Ibni Almarhum Sultan Haji Omar Ali Saifuddin Saadul Khairi Wadian, Sultan and Yang di-Pertuan of Brunei Darussalam, joined citizens and residents in performing the Sunat Idul Fitri prayer at the Omar Ali Saifuddin Mosque in the capital. Meanwhile, Muslims across Sri Lanka are celebrating Eid al-Fitr today, marking the end of a month-long fast during Ramadan. People of the community gathered at mosque for special Eid prayers, followed by warm exchanges of greetings. A key tradition observed on this day is visiting the graves of loved ones, where families pray for the departed. The festival is also marked by communal meals, charity, and family gatherings. Authorities have ensured security measures are in place to facilitate peaceful observance of the festival. And from Serbia, the Islamic community held its central Eid ceremony in the Arab Mosque in Novi Pazar. The Eid prayer at the Baskrakli Mosque in Belgrade was led by Belgrade Mufti Mustafa Zusufovic. Eid al-Fitr is also known as Ramazan Basram in the Balkans. The only mosque in Belgrade was filled with believers who came to mark the end of the month of fasting and repentance.
And And that concludes this edition of Your World. I'm Siska Becker. Thank you all for watching. Until next time, goodbye.